My name is Mike Masterson. I'm one of the automation specialists with the Reynolds Company, and I'm here to do the introductions for today's topic, which is we're going to be going over the Stratix portfolio product line. That's our networking equipment. Today's presenter is Brandon Singh. He's our network specialist out of our Dallas office. He covers a lot of the north there, but he also helps us here in the south on a regular basis, as he would attest to, since I bugged him at least once today. Now, I'd like to talk about some upcoming events we'll have coming up. Our first Tech Talk for next month, which will be on February 9th, we're going to be going over energy monitoring, specifically going over power monitors. We'll look at the power monitors themselves and also the integration into Studio 5000. Then our user group for next month, which will be on February 16th, we'll be taking a look at our operator interfaces and our HMI product. So we'll be going over that, some of the changes and some of the new releases coming out. And also on our, just to let you know, we do have a to be determined topic, but we will have something safety related for our last Tech Talk of the month of February, and we'll get something posted on that shortly. And we also want to make you aware of Reynolds Online. That's our website. A lot of this information we're talking about today, in fact, all of our Tech Talks and user groups, our podcasts or videos, we always post this to our website. So if you get an opportunity, please go to the website, take a look at some of the content we have there. And if you have any suggestions on what some content we might want to add to it, please reach out to us or your local specialist or account manager and make us aware of it. And we'll certainly address those issues. And with that, I'll hand it off to Brandon so we can take a look at our Stratix portfolio.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mike. So as Mike said, we will be discussing the network product overview, specifically the Stratix product line within Rockwell Automation. So with the network and security portfolio, here are the main areas that it covers. It's all encompassing there. You have the Stratix switches, we have unmanaged switches, lightly managed switches, managed switches. We also have some security products, proxy modules, appliance security modules, and then we have our communications modules, adapters and bridges, and then we have our embedded switch and router technologies. All of you, I'm sure, are pretty familiar, especially with the communication modules down toward the end, whether that be chassis-based 1756 IOs, as well as any process or process safety with our 1719, 1715s, or our Flex IO. So that technically falls under the network and security portfolio as a whole, even though they're not branded as a Stratix device. So the network switch product overview, Stratix, the Stratix line, encompasses anything from an unmanaged switch all the way up to a fully high performance distribution switch. Stratix 2000, 2500 are the unmanaged and lightly managed, and from there we step up into our managed offering with our Stratix 5700, 5400, and 5800. And as we move up the line, we're getting more performance based as we move toward the high performance. The 5400, 5800 have the all gig platforms, and then we move into the 5410, which would be the fully high performance switch capable of 10 gig Ethernet ports, as well as SFP modules there, and that would be our distribution layer switch. So easiest way to pick out, well, what type of switch do you need for a problem going on? You need lightly managed, fully managed, or high performance switch. So these are just some key customer challenges that we see that are kind of easy to kind of pinpoint which switch you need, and from there we'll make the selection point within that, what best fits the solution, whether unplanned downtime, loop preventions, or redundant networks that we want to set up, and then or if you're looking to collaborate with remote experts on communication issues, especially when in today's climate with a lot of people being remote, and you had visibility across operations, or even just visibility with certain IT tools if you're working hand in hand with your IT department. And then also with cybersecurity being on the forefront, a lot of people's minds, a lot of different attacks going on. So risk mitigation and help protect the network availability performance, whether that be port security, visibility, and network flow, segmentation. So we'd be looking at, you fully manage your high performance switches there. So this is just a quick chart that helps figure out, which category switch would you be looking at based on the challenge or need you're looking to fill within your environment. So starting on with our unmanaged switch, that's Stratix 2000. There's absolutely no configuration with this. It is an app right out of the box, plug and play. It is very modular, and what I mean by that, it comes in multiple combinations of both fast Ethernet ports, both copper as well as SFP ports, if you want to use some fiber within this switch. And it is, like I said, it's very modular. You can get it as low as 4 ports, and you can get it up to 16 ports. So the port density is pretty modular in terms of being able to fit the need for an unmanaged switch would need to go. Moving up from there, we would move into the lightly managed switch with Stratix 2500. With that one, we say lightly managed because it addresses some uptime challenges where unmanaged switches wouldn't be able to, from primarily being network loops, as well as some enhanced traffic performance. And you were able to set VLANs for logical segmentation on a 2500, and you gain some diagnostic feedback that can be taken care of on the 2500 through your integrated architecture system. And we'll talk about the software for that as we move through this. Some of the other benefits that come out of the 2500 using the lightly managed switch is the traffic prioritization. So out of the box, it does have preset QoS or quality of service. So it's set to prioritize PLC traffic out of the box, and there's no configuration that would need to be done to a 2500. And that's something that you wouldn't be able to utilize on an unmanaged switch. And there's some also total cost of ownership is reduced in that aspect. And then you're able to increase the network resiliency with some of the built-in characteristics and features that are available on the 2500 that you can't get on the 2000. And then moving up from the 2500, we move into the Stratix 5700, which has been, in my opinion, the bread and butter switch of the Rockwell line Stratix switches for a long time. It's a mid-range layer 2 offering, and it fits a lot of applications. It's highly scalable to provide the different capabilities that are needed, and it comes in armored Stratix, so we can get an IP67 rating for your on-machine integration if that's something you needed. With that armored Stratix, like I said, you're getting the full capability of a fully managed switch of the 5700, but you're getting the ruggedized design for IP67 rating, and it's used for distributed extreme environment applications for on-machine. But even though it has that rating, you're still getting all the benefits you get out of a fully managed switch. And when we move into the managed switch line within the Stratix, those managed switches are built off the Cisco iOS or Cisco Internet Operating System. And you're also getting premier integration with Rockwell Automation and the SIP protocols. Moving up from the 5700, we move into the 5400, which would be a full performance managed switch. What meaning by full performance is it comes in availability of an all-gig platform, and you'll be able to get your DLR support. You'll be able to provide get power over Ethernet ports available on a 5400 line. And you also have the red box operation for parallel redundancy protocols. So for high demand applications, this is another great switch here because we're moving into the performance capable line of switches. Another benefit here is the layer 3 applications that can be done with the 5400. So you can get the routing capabilities that are available when you utilizing layer 3. It can also be used in some applications for distribution purposes with that layer 3 routing and switching capability. It still integrates into the Rockwell line, and for Studio 5000 add-on profiles, you're able to get predefined tags through Logix 5000, and you're still utilizing the Cisco technology capability for switching, and is also for configuration purposes. It's very easy for device replacement. Has an SD card slot on the front of it. From there, we move into the newest offering as far on the switch lineup from Rockwell Automation, which is the Stratix 5800. This is the next generation modular switch. This switch replaced what used to be the Stratix 8000 and 8300. If you're familiar with that switch in the past, this is the direct replacement for that. It has available in the layer 2 or layer 3 switch, just as the Stratix 5400 is. Key difference being there is this is an all gig platform, whether you're looking at a layer 2 or layer 3, whereas in the 5400 you have the option for an all gig platform, or if you didn't need an all gig platform, you can just get a fast Ethernet platform on a 5400 in terms of the port capability. The 5800 is all gig all the time, regardless whether you're looking at layer 2 or layer 3. It is also takes that next step up in terms of being built off the Cisco platform. So this is utilizing Cisco's newest iOS XE operating system. So the GUI interface here on this switch would be different than it is for the other managed switches. For the 5700, the 5400, and even the higher level 5410, those use a device manager GUI interface for most of us are familiar with, whereas the 5800 is built upon the next level of Cisco operating system. Some of the key features, as I said, is available in layer 2 or layer 3, so you can get that distribution application with some routing and switching that you can get on the 5400. It is also modular in design, so you can add an expansion module onto the side of it, whether it be an 8-port expansion module or a 16-port expansion module. It does offer availability with power over Ethernet, even the expansion modules. So if you needed to add on additional power over Ethernet ports to your base unit, you can get an expansion module that is a power over Ethernet expansion module. So moving up from there, we're moving to the Stratix 5410. This is also an all-gig platform, just as the 5800 is. This is a rack-mounted switch, where all the other switches in the Stratix lineup are DIN rail mounted. The 5410 is a 19-inch rack-mounted switch. It is a high-performance switch. This switch is intended to be utilized in distribution application settings for that truly high-performance redundancy application, and especially some of the feature set that's available. It does offer layer 2 or layer 3 capability. And with that, we're also able to utilize dual power supply on this one as well, and also being able to take advantage of some wall mounting options for ease of access. It does have a ruggedized design, so it is, even though it is a 19-inch rack-mounted switch, it is intended for harsh environmental conditions. It does offer a wide variety of availability of port setup, whether depending on the ports you need, whether it be PoE or PoE plus, SFP ports, copper ports, So there's the module slots slide in and out and can be switched out, very typical to a Cisco rack-mounted switch, if you're familiar with those at all. And even though it has all that capability, you're still being able to utilize add-on profiles from Studio 5000, as well as the predefined Logic 5000 tags for monitoring and alerting. So the value of Stratix. Why Stratix? Stratix switches, really there's three key elements of why we'd want to utilize Stratix switches: design, operate, and maintain. So design, we would be reduce engineering and risk, increase resiliency, and a consistency within the design. In terms of operate, we'd be optimizing in ease of use and for OT applications, reduce effort, cost, and downtime, and then we'd be able to improve our mean time to resolution had there been an event which we need to get the plant back up and running with DLR specific faceplates as well as pre-built faceplates for troubleshooting within the HMI, and then maintain unit replacement troubleshooting, increased reliability, and lower cost of total ownership. So the value of Stratix in terms of the design, as I said, we validated reference architectures. So the CPWE as a whole, but as we talk about CPWE, there's so many other white pages that branch off that to DLR rings, implementing DMZs, implementing wireless, device level rings, parallel redundancy protocols. There's so many additional architectures that are built off the CPWE that utilize the Stratix switches. So in terms of design, they're validated and tested designs. You have your custom add-on profiles to reduce coding effort for automatic consistent context. You can get those through Logic 5000, Studio 5000, those predetermined tags, and being able to add it into your IO tree. It's very easy to work with for your alerting, and it's not something new you have to learn. You're basically using the same software that you always use for your PLC, but now you're able to take advantage of the network as well. Went the wrong way. And then in terms of value switches on the operate side, OT optimized switch configuration. As I said, the switches within Device Manager, as we're operating them, the ports are set up for switch for automation device, or this is going to be a VFD. You have your smart port configurations within these switches, so they're optimized and configured for the OT environment. You have your device level ring, which is the Ethernet version of daisy chaining, allowing for reduced cabling and built-in resiliency, similar to what you see up that diagram on the right. You have your network address translation, which for ease of use, if you know you have your OEM, they're building a machine for you, and they set their addresses for the devices on that machine, preset IP addresses on the machine before they send it to you. We can utilize network address translation, so you can continue ordering those machines and then easily plug them into your network for expansion. HMI faceplates, as I said earlier, existing Stratix switch faceplates enable troubleshooting directly from your Rockwell Automation HMI through diagnostics. You can also get that same information when you add it into the IO tree within your Studio 5000. And the last one, value for why Stratix is maintained. Auto device configuration replace. This is combining Stratix and Logic controllers. It's possible to replace devices on the network with a plug-and-play fashion. IP address and configuration parameters are automatically downloaded and replaced through the software. DLR overview faceplate reduces your mean time to repair by providing instant feedback. You're able to see that within the HMI. Technical support. Your Stratix switches are covered under your existing TechNet contract. So if you're buying these Stratix devices and you have an existing TechNet, they're covered underneath that. And then testing. All the Stratix portfolio undergo through functional testing and system testing by Rockwell Automation, whether we test those within the actual architectures before we produce and publish those white papers. So we know the architectures are tested, and then we know the switch itself is tested before we put it out. And then the last one really is that Rockwell Cisco partnership with these Stratix switches. These Stratix switches are built upon the Cisco IE product solution. And what we're able to bring to the table is Rockwell being its existing tool set within the OT marketplace and understanding operational technology. Rockwell brings all of that forefront, the PLCs, and what Cisco brings to the forefront is being the world leader in switching technology from an enterprise side. That collaboration together helps produce a switch that is needed for the OT side, and that partnership is outstanding. I love the Cisco product, but the Rockwell product is even better because it's meant to be in the environment for the operations, and it's meant to be in harsh environments. And so, as an IT person, you can, typically IT people have a hard time understanding the OT environment, but this switch gives them the capability to understand how excuse me, how to operate a switch, but also understanding that it's meant to be in the industrial environment. Within that, there's also the partnership with Panduit, and Panduit helps bring together those validated and tested architectures with Rockwell. So Rockwell helps when we're putting together these architectures and the white pages that we test these architectures and these products on. That partnership is used with Panduit to help integrate those solutions, the architectures that are provided, excuse me, with the white papers. So I mentioned earlier the software in which you can get alerting and monitoring. Not only can you do that through Studio 5000, but you can do it through FactoryTalk Network Manager. Pardon me. So this software provides increased visibility and insight into the performance of your network. Also does some troubleshooting, and you can do configuration and maintenance with this software. Before we go further, I just want to throw out another reason why I love this software is because the software itself is free from Rockwell. I'll say that again. The software is free from Rockwell. You can go download it yourself right now. There's no charge for the software. To utilize the full capability of the software, you do have to license your switch to get the full robust capability of the software. So the software is free. You can play around with it, see some of the options of what's available, but to be able to access the full capability of the software, you have to license your Stratix switch to use the software. Some highlights, network visibility, as I said, you can discover plant floor assets, overall topology views. You can get some controller backplane bridging and take a look at your DLR and your VLANs in an overlay. And then troubleshooting. This is where you'll get the real-time event capture from FactoryTalk alarms and events. It'll have historical data and logs. So someone who can take a look at how often this alert has happened and what are the type of logs. And then within that, you'll get email notifications. And then you have the configuration and maintenance. So your switch port settings, switch configurations and backups. You can do compares. So if you feel there might have been a change to the switch, you can look at the current configuration, how it's running, and then you can look at and compare from a previous configuration. And then you can restore configurations if you're adding in a new switch. You can also do some firmware updates, excuse me, from the software as well. So if you're plugging in a new switch or a replacement switch, and you know you need to upgrade the firmware, to be matching to the rest of the switches in the environment, you can go ahead and update it from the software. So the visibility. So this is a screen capture of what the software actually looks like. And like I said, you're going to get an overlay of the network and how it's physically laid out and the connection points. And it's going to show you VLANs and VLR overlays within that, within the overview layout you get. And it's also going to give you a detailed view of switches and devices. Through the troubleshooting, as I said, you're going to get your alerts, pardon me, the yellow, the reds, as far as, you know, if something's going on. These events and alerts are happening in real time, and you will get email notifications regarding them. And then there does have a historical retention, so you can go back and look at how the log to see how often this alert is happening or when the last time it did happen. You also, as I said, the configuration and maintenance. So you can, as if you're replacing a switch, you can go in and replace this and update the firmware, add the configuration from the previous switch that you removed. And then you can review configurations if someone was doing some work and you feel like there's changes made to that switch. So you can do all of that through the software as well. So as I mentioned earlier, the control modules are part of the network portfolio, even though they're not branded Cisco. The under 1756, which support the SIP protocols, as well as other network protocols, real-time I/O messaging, and are designed for extreme environments. You have your 1756 EN4TR communication module, supports SIP security, available in 10 meg, 100 meg, or gigabit port on the front. You get 256 axes of motions. It provides customers with protection down to the Ethernet IP endpoint. This module doesn't replace firewalls. However, it is required on top of it. The module is part of the system oriented configuration for security. And then you have the SIP Security Proxy. It's a standalone hardware solution that facilitates secure communications for legacy equipment. So and I like this product for that reason. If you're, don't have the availability to upgrade and migrate some of your older existing equipment, or you're looking to make sure it's secure in the messaging standpoint, we can implement a SIP security proxy for that. It provides communication using factory policy manager software, and it reduces some risk associated with accessing the control components through the network. Also have the 1756 EN2 TP, which is for the Parallel Redundancy Protocol module. It supports PRP to control Logic's Ethernet IP platform for redundant media support for Ethernet IP. It is IEC 62439 compliant because same package sent over both ports to eliminate network switchover, which is a good thing. It does act as an I/O scanner in the control chassis, or an I/O adapter in the remote chassis. It does support HMI communications, and it provides a redundant network infrastructure for high availability to help minimize the risk of downtime. So the last thing we're going to discuss is the newest offering and adding to the Stratix portfolio, which is remote access. So that would be the Stratix 4300. So why secure remote access? In today's environment, with everything that's going on with COVID-19 and the different variants, some people are still working from home, others aren't. Some are in hybrid roles where they're at home part-time. So we want to be able to have secure connection to the equipment in the field without the need for travel costs, as well as for installation support or programming upgrades or break-fix applications, remote services, and diagnostics. So the Stratix 4300 is Rockwell's solution for the remote access. And it improves response time for remotely access to support customer equipment in a moment's notice. When what customers call, you can connect quickly, and then also reduce costs. With remote access, you don't have to endure the travel time or expenses to help a customer when needed, and then maximize productivity. When you can service a customer equipment on demand without having to schedule that, you can immediately get to it to help the customer. Now, with the remote access, there is the 4300 remote access router, which is the actual hardware, and then there's the software, which is the FactoryTalk remote access software. Both of those are needed as to provide the solution. So the solution, as I said, is you have to use FactoryTalk remote access subscription software along with the 4300 remote access router. This remote access solution provides manufacturers with the ability to apply the technical skills and resources while being independent of the physical location. So an overview, as I said, the Stratix 4300 remote access router is a component that enables access to remote equipment through VPN connection. That connection, that a VPN connection is going through Rockwell. So Rockwell is the one who's when we're establishing that VPN connection. You're going through the Rockwell cloud, so to speak, or Rockwell data center to establish that connection, utilizing the FactoryTalk remote access software. Some key features on it. It is easy and intuitive web-based user interface. The VPN technology is optimized for industrial connectivity with outbound connections only. User group management and permissions controls can be done by the end customer. Advanced options for audit logging and administration changes and remote connectivity are available. Support intent sharing with devices on LAN subnet or subnet, or support for NAT routing within the router itself. Software subscription license models based on the number of concurrent users and connections, and integration with FactoryTalk Hub, the new Rockwell Automation cloud-based software product suite. And as I said, the actual VPN connection, it's very similar to logging in to a lot of the other key competitors, but who owns and controls that connection, as I said, is you're logging in through Rockwell Automation's cloud and their data centers. So they're the ones who are owning and supporting that VPN connection. So highlights, as I said, it's integrated with FactoryTalk Hub cloud product. It is web-based client for centralized management. To establish the connection, as I said, you do need both the remote access software and the remote access hardware, which is the Stratix 4300. So this is how the remote access software would look on terms of a subscription, what is available. So you get your user profiling and permissions control, access to the VPN connection, advanced log and audit connections, and administration activities, management of folders and subfolders, and the number of concurrent connections, meaning how many people can be logged in at the exact same time. So the Stratix 4300 access router, that is the hardware itself. It provides availability for manufacturers and OEMs to have the appropriate skills and resources to work independently. It is available in a 2 and a 5 port offering. The router itself As I said, its first time configuration is done through a local Ethernet port or USB. It can or allow remote connectivity from the machine itself. It is managed from a centralized web client on the initial installation. The difference is between the 4-port and the 5-port, both are available with one WAN or wide area network port, and then the one LAN port or local area network port on the 2-port, and on the 5-port you get 4 local area ports and just the one LAN port. They are all gigabit platform, which regardless whether it's a 2 or 5-port module that you get. So as I said, to utilize the solution of the remote access through Rockwell Automation, you do need both the hardware and the software. The factory talk remote access software, and it's available on a subscription model. And then the hardware itself is the Stratix 4300 remote access hardware, which is available in both a 2-port and 5-port configuration. Thank you for attending. Was there any questions that came up during the chat, Mike?
We do not, does not appear to be any questions, so I think we're good to go.
Okay. Thank you again for attending this Tech Talk. Have a wonderful day.